Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breaking the Lens of Bias. Breaking the Lens of Bias goes live at noon Central Time uh, every Thursday. So I hope to glad you're back if you've been with us before, or if this is your first time here. I hope you enjoy what I have to say, and I'd love to hear your ideas on it. So today I will be talking about the biases found in the rhetoric concerning the Safety Act in Illinois. And for those of you who are in Illinois, you're probably well aware of all the commercials, and if you watch the governor's debate, you've been made aware of this. Basically, what the Safety Act is, it was passed. Actually, what year? It was passed a year or two ago. The provisions of the bill are gradually being um, phased in. The biggest, probably most contentious issue is scheduled to be phased in at the start of 2023, and that centers on the elimination of cash bail. Um, and my understanding is the reasoning behind this, as it's explained, is the elimination of cash bail basically makes a more fair system. It Cash bail overburdens people who are in poverty who may commit crimes that currently require bail, but do not. Uh, they're not necessarily violent crimes or doing that, where somebody of means could easily post the bail for that. And so when people are placed in jail and they cannot make bail, they're in danger of losing their jobs, their homes, their children, etc., so on and so forth. So the idea behind it is to make a more fair system for that. One of the things that's being said in commercials, first of all, is an implication that it has already taken place, that there is more crime on the streets because criminals are being released. And so, right there, that's misinformation that's being put out because these provisions have not yet taken effect. Um, and so, but what that is doing actually is playing on people's biases. I believe that most of us want to live in safe communities. We don't want criminals running around, violent criminals, people who are committing property crimes, and we want to live in safety. So I think that's something that no matter where you are in the political spectrum, I think we all can pretty much agree on that. Um, the question is how to do that and how to uh, stay within the laws of our country and our state and municipalities. So by playing on this bias that if someone is arrested, they are a criminal, meaning they have committed a crime and been convicted of that crime. So in our country, going back to a civics lesson, you are innocent until proven guilty. So, what does that mean for bail? Is again, you're allowing people who are innocent until proven guilty to be let out. Now there are exceptions to that rule in terms of various crimes, and the judge has discretion as to whether or not they want to hold someone or release someone. Um, but this play here on this need or this desire for security of our persons and safety of our property is being played upon. And really, what this is an anchoring bias. So it's the first thing you judge, i.e., someone has been arrested, therefore they are a criminal, influence your judgment of all that follows. So the judgment as follows is being proposed is that we are soft on crime if we let criminals out. On the other side of the bias too is, well, what kind of crimes and what kind of reasonable assumptions do we have to make to ensure safety? Obviously, if someone is caught red-handed assaulting someone, they have committed a violent crime. People have seen it. Now, granted, it has to go through the court process to get a criminal conviction of that, but there is enough proof in the arrest itself, in the incident itself, in the evidence that we have to say this person has committed a violent crime, therefore is a danger to society, and perhaps shouldn't be let out on bail. And I think, I will admit, and I doubt that most people commenting on this or this will actually have read what I understand to be a 700-page law. So there's a lot to it, um, and I think part of what has been brought out in the debates, unfortunately, I don't think it has been discussed enough, is where is this law perceived to have fallen short? Where is it missing? Now, there are some groups who are very pro this law, and there are some groups that are very pro against it. And I think the people who are pro against it are doing a disservice to making a law on criminal justice reform work for all people of Illinois. I think by feeding on those biases that we're preventing progress from being made in actually addressing issues so that perhaps we can avoid very types of crimes that have happened, or situations that have happened throughout the country, like George Floyd, like perhaps the incident in Highland Park, Illinois, with the mass shootings. What is it that we can do and need to do to make the criminal justice system work for all citizens of Illinois? Both by holding those who are guilty accountable, but also by recognizing that all human beings have certain rights, and we have to protect those rights. I see time and time again where people have mental illnesses and various kinds of problems, and the question that always comes to my mind is stereotypical police intervention always required? Is it always the way to go? And I think sometimes we need to address those things in different ways, and I think that this law is attempting to do that. As long as we stay out of the bias that we're releasing criminals into the streets, and we clarify what kinds of discretions that the judges have, and hopefully, because in Illinois judges are elected offices, hopefully we are putting judges in of integrity and who believe that there is an important balance between rights and safety, and that there is sufficient evidence to hold someone accountable, especially for violent crimes, and that we move forward in that. So preying on the biases in political commercials and in a political race is not going to really do anything to move forward what I think the majority of citizens of Illinois want, which is to have the safe community, which is to hold criminals accountable, but not to persecute people because they're poor, or they are black or brown, or they're young, or they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. We want to hold people accountable for what they do and not just who they are. And so I'm hoping that this helps somewhat to clarify the issue, um, and to make you think. I'm just going to go through some of the things that I think are important in the bill. Um, and some of them are police accountability. So requires reporting on deaths in police custody. I mean, I do think that would be an important thing, um, to know if people are dying in police custody, what is happening, what were those deaths the result of. Sometimes it could be a natural death. Sometimes it could be as a result of resisting or self harm or other factors. And I am not a police officer. I have police officers in my family who I respect tremendously with the job that they do. Um, but I don't think having authority nevertheless gives you blanket authority to do things. And I do think there has to be some accountability on that end also. Um, One of the things is requires police to provide a predicate offense for resisting arrest, i.e., there's a reason why an arrest was occurring in the first place. Um, just because someone runs away, does that mean that they're automatically guilty? Again, I don't know. We don't know why the police are looking towards those individuals. Um, but there has to be a reason, a reasonable suspicion as to why that person is being arrested, um, and so we should do that. Expands police training on use of force and crisis intervention, as well as first aid training. Um, Again, all good things. Use of force, with the things that we have seen where force has been abused, and unfortunately police officers have been convicted uh, of crimes and have had to go to prison for accounting that. That's fine. Crisis intervention. How many times are uh, their mental health issues with people. They may be committing a crime, um, but there may be extenuating circumstances regarding mental health. And so, if we can deal with those crises, perhaps we can uh, cut down on some of the uh, force that is needed to subdue the situation. Requires statewide standards and services for officers to receive regular mental health screenings and assistance. Being a police officer has got to be one of the most difficult jobs. We're aware of police uh, committing suicide because it's just overwhelming, and to provide that kind of support for police officers so that they don't commit harm to themselves or to others, I think would be very helpful. Um, there's things about chokeholds. There's things about whistleblower protections, so that if you see a bad actor, um, you are protected when you blow the whistle on that. Um, all right, let me go down a little bit further. There's things about detainees and prisoner rights, the right to make three free phone calls within 3 hours of arrival at the police station and before questioning occurs. So, in a sense, it's allowing people to follow through on their rights, and get counsel or get assistance otherwise. I think that's within the spirit of the laws that we already have. I think it just codifies it. Um, Prohibits people with less than 4 months on their sentence from being imprisoned and allows them to be diverted to electronic monitoring or other DOC facility or program. I'm assuming that's things that's helped to reduce the prison population. Obviously, if they're haven't had any more time tacked on their sentence, they're probably doing all right, and it allows them to have a reintegration into society. Uh, Makes changes to streamline the crime victims' compensation process. Again, more support for the victims of crime in order to get that. So there's a lot of, my point is there's a lot of good things in this law, and I should go back and I should read the entire bill. I should read the 700 pages to really know and understand, uh, what is being said. And I do appreciate that the conversation has taken place, that people are aware of some of the potential shortcomings of this bill. They're listening to the dissenting voices, and they're opening up discussions to alter this law as we go into no cash bail. Um, Perhaps the outcome of those discussions might be that discretion upon the part of the judges is limited, further limited by the kinds of crimes. Um, and here's just another misinformation that's going out, is that people will just be released, that the jail populations will be open. And it is my understanding that um, anything that goes through has to be gone through a judicial process. So people prior to the end of this year will still be under the old system, and it's just people who are arrested after that. And I could be wrong, but if there is any review, it's not just the jails are going to be opened. It's that has to go back and be reviewed by the judges if people who are being held on bail um, will be released. But again, the point is, and certainly anybody who has been convicted will have to serve their sentence. So again, this law is only pertaining to those people who have been arrested but not yet convicted. Innocent until proven guilty. So, that being said, my friends in Illinois, um, make yourself aware of what this law really says and really means. Make this law, make sure that you understand, make sure that you are being aware of what is happening in your community, reporting things appropriately. And if you need to go back to your legislature, whether you live in a Republican district or a Democratic district or an independent district, your representatives are there to give your concerns. And if you're concerned that your representative is not being fair in their assessment because they're towing the party line, put the pressure on them to look at their own biases and to go in and to make the changes to the law to benefit all of us. Don't allow yourself to be stuck in your bias that it's one way or the other way. So that's all for today's show. Next week I'll have something new, and we will be talking about that. But I will say the political season is making a lot of biases come out and come to light. And biases tend to keep us apart. Understanding tends to keep us together. So I hope you keep that in mind, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.